This is the Distracted and Disorderly podcast. I'm Chris, and this is Kayla.
This is Kayla.
We're just fucking idiots.
This
Let's
is
go.
Kayla.
What? I didn't even hit record. I just hit record now.
Damn it, Christopher! It was so good.
I was gonna give Scott the rundown on how we intro the show in, but
we'll intro the show in. Then
that's fine. Distracted and Disorderly podcast. Welcome back, the handsome but ugly in some lights guy in the We're here with Scott, Leone. You know it. I'm Chris. This is Kayla.
He's Italian.
A little bit. A little bit.
Can you back up? Your nose takes up the whole screen. Can you back up a little bit?
Wow.
He's Italian.
I understand that your entire family has never used a seasoning other than salt for the entire time they've been fucking alive.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
What's the matter with you?
Go eat some more capicola till your butt explodes.
I'm going to be running for the fucking bathroom midway through this. I'll be screaming at you and shitting my brains out.
Oh, my God. Today, Kayla's eyes twitching up there. You ready for today? Are we ready to moderate this?
No, I don't think that I could ever prepare for something like this. So,
well, that's bullshit because whenever I'm with you guys in person, you are always the moderator. You're the one. Would you guys stop yelling?
Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But now it's on recording, so we got to be choosy.
So today we brought freaking the staple in the scene himself for a long time.
Fuck me.
He's been peeled out and he's trying to get back in, but
whoa.
he just wants to. He wants me to stand behind him and force him back in. But
I do want you to push me from behind.
We're gonna talk about hardcore metal and a little bit of music stuff, a little bit of stuff, and Kayla's got the fucking the spec sheet for this show, this little blueprint I drew up earlier this morning while taking a poop.
Why did I get a spec sheet? I'm just getting fucking blindsided by the two of you pricks.
This is called ambush podcastism, bro, dude.
So tell us why you think you're a tough guy who can punch kids in the face that are 14 years old at an all-ages show.
Tell us why, 40 plus Scott, when you swing on children and their parents dropped them off that night.
Listen, those parents, they're gonna fucking learn too, all right? I won't beat just the kid's ass. I'll find the goddamn parent too.
Hey, bring your dad in here so I can crowd fucking kill him, dude.
Oh my God.
Get your punk bitch dad in here.
I beat your dad's ass 20 years ago. I'll beat your ass now, fucker.
The ever not afraid.
Oh, God.
You guys haven't guessed it yet. We're talking about hardcore and metal. So.
A little bit. We're touching surfaces of things.
That's the only thing you're touching.
Didn't even introduce Scott in a polite way, but it's,
I did introduce Scott.
I said Chris in a polite way.
Chris and I have 20 years of friendship. That was the most polite I was getting out of this.
Yeah, I started off with handsome. I led with handsome. It went downhill from there. But...
fucking immediately. There was not downhill. This was off a fucking cliff, straight down. Look at this handsome pile of shit that I fucking hate. That was how that went.
Scott, fresh off of some sweaty man-to-man contact for the morning.
I tell women in my life that I go to jiu-jitsu class, but we'll continue that lie here.
I'm sorry, what jitsu?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean,
what
I don't know what religion they are. Oh, man. So Kayla, since you're the moderator, what are we talking about here?
I don't really know. I'm real out of my element. So I have a spec sheet for a reason. But I don't know if we're starting at Octane Core.
I want you to read that whole paragraph.
Octane Core?
I want you to read that whole paragraph I sent, that Octane Core paragraph.
Yeah, because you deleted stuff, but didn't send me the deleted stuff.
No. So it starts off, what I sent you says, let's talk hardcore and metal. And then there's a bunch of shit. Yeah. I deleted all that up to Octane Core. So that whole section's gone.
So everything below that we're talking about.
Yes, Octane Core and below. Because I think we're going to go off the rails. And Scott already said he wants to mention some bands that I don't have on my list. So that works out. So read us that paragraph of Octane Core.
Types this makes me feel like I have to say the middle part a certain type of way. But
I actually
roll with it.
No, I copy and pasted that from an article. Legit.
No,
I didn't write that.
I mean the quotations Never mind. Fuck off. Shut up.
The
Okay,
examples.
Octane Core. You can't even keep a straight face. Can I talk? Like, wait, I'm gonna put my mic up here so you guys can see me
Sally
talking
Jesse
into the
Raphael.
mic. Okay, wait. Ready?
Yes, Bill
Both of you are
Donahue.
so blank face. Octane Core. It's just a term used to describe radio-friendly metalcore. If it's something you'd hear on Sirius XM Octane, it's considered Octane Core. He's already laughing.
Like, Devil Wears Prada?
Not an actual subgenre, but similar to the term butt rock for metalcore. But for metalcore. Stuff that plays on the radio that promotes playing nothing but rock.
We'd play nothing but rock all day wrong, all day wrong,
Suck
all day
nothing but cock.
Okay, so the first question I think that he's writing, this is all a little, we love the way that Chris writes things out. Are we okay with butt rock singing making its way into the heavier genres? Okay, and he put 2 examples down here that I don't know if you know, Scott, but I'm familiar with. Sleep Token and Bad Wolves.
Yeah, so look, man, everybody got introduced to hardcore and metal kind of whatever way they did. Like, Chris and I are products of the 90s, so, you know, heavy music in the mid-90s was Korn, Deftones towards the end of the decade. Yeah, Sepultura. You know those guys. I mean, although I will argue hardcore. Fuck my life. Oh, I'm so stupid.
Scott's so fucking hard. He just inserts hardcore to replace other words. He's like, "You want to get some hardcore tonight, and maybe a dessert? Let's go to hardcore. I'm tired."
I will argue that Sepultura is far more hardcore than half of these hardcore bands that are out these days. Like, dude, Chaos Fear, Chaos AD,
Arise.
Rise.
He's stroking out.
Yeah, my fucking brain shut off for a second. So Arise, Chaos AD. We might fucking Tourette's out of this, you cocksuckers. I swear to Christ. I know where you live.
You signed up for this.
Come on down.
I'll
Bob's Discount Furniture, you ass.
Bob's Discount Furniture.
Come on down.
But I mean, I think you and I could agree on that, right? Sepultura is far more hardcore than some of the shit that comes out. Like, and this, I'm not shitting on bands like this, but you have bands like Koyo and No Pressure that are being lumped into the hardcore scene because they have hardcore roots. You know, both those bands come out of the hardcore scene, but those are very like pop punky, happy-go-lucky type bands, and they're being called hardcore and lumped onto hardcore festivals. And I still have idiots that tell me that like Sepultura wasn't hardcore. Like, go listen to Propaganda and tell me that's not a hardcore song.
It's more metal, but it's harder in general. I wouldn't call it hardcore just because of the fucking connotations. Listen, it's technical brutal death metal. It's not brutal technical death metal, okay?
It's not.
How many subgenres are there?
There's too many.
44 billion.
There's too many because a bunch of dipshits like to subgenre everying. But the real question... Go ahead.
Subgenres that I hate, gent. If I hear the word gent one more time, I'm going to pound a spike through my fucking eyeball.
I think we should just lean into progressive metal when we talk about that.
Can you give me examples of gent?
There's a bunch of different bands. It's like a sound more than
Periphery, Volumes, Veil of Maya, technically. Born of Osiris, I feel like you could lump into that at times.
One of their singers just quit. You see that?
Era would technically be gent. I did. He's good live too. I liked him. I don't wonder what they're gonna do.
I never got into that band.
Yeah,
but you know me, I'm a hardcore kid. I'm not really a metal. Like, I like some metal, but
that's Chet's favorite band, pretty much. That's like one of his top 3.
So hardcore people have always referred to ourselves as kids, right? Because every other, like, you have metalheads, you have punk rockers, but hardcore, once you get to the end of hardcore, there wasn't anything good you could put back there because you're like, I'm a hardcore man. You're like,
well, that's because hardcore kids progressed into other types of music. They either go full bore into that Boston Murphy's Law, like Dropkick Murphys persona, watching hockey and wearing a fucking driver's cap or whatever you want to call it.
Scally cap there, yeah.
Or they lean into metal and they get into the metal side, kind of like Hatebreed did. They really leaned into the metal side of things. You know,
I mean, towards the later albums, yeah.
But Jamie's hair is even long now. He looks metal as fuck, which is cool. He still looks, he just looks more metal now than anything. But I remember seeing Hatebreed back in the day, and those dudes looked hardcore. Like, they looked like hardcore
I'll tell you,
dudes.
Because I saw those dudes in January down in fucking Long Island. And yeah, Jamie definitely has more of a metal look. And it's funny because Jamie is happy these days. You know, I remember Jamie being pissed off on stage, like just being real angry all the time. And now Jamie's like dancing around, smiling and shit. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm glad the dude's in a better mental health space. That's for sure.
But I'm trying to be angry while listening to fucking.
But like he's like smiling and shit, and he's singing shit off of Satisfaction. And, you know, you and I both know Satisfaction is a real fucking angry album. So he's singing shit off of that, smiling. Yeah.
It's dark. When one of the lines on your album is a product of rape, that's a dark album. But
right, our Last Breath, when he's playing Last Breath and smiling as he's singing Last Breath, and you're like, I know what this song's about, man.
But as is our podcast, we went off the rails. So are you okay? Are you okay with butt rock singing making its way into the metalcore side of the world, where it starts off and it's a killer riff with the drums and suddenly Nickelback hook? Are you okay with that? Because I hate it.
I do hate it, but you know what? The point I was making before when we went down that rabbit hole, it does bring newer, younger kids in and get them initiated into that heavier music, right? Because it's not, dude, nobody's putting on Deicide for the first time and being like, this is the best thing ever. Like, you have to, there's a progression there, you know?
But I honestly, I feel the opposite. I feel like that's like the wall for most people. I feel like that's the crowd it draws. I think they're drawing in the people. I think that's like their limit. I think the limit, and I think that why I think that is because the singing had to literally progress into that style to bring people to that kind of guitar and drums. Because I think that is literally the limit. I don't think people that listen to Bad Wolves and Sleep Token are yearning for heavier, more screamy music, unless it's Lorna Shore because it's cool to do that right now. But like other than that.
So
you don't think that people who like those bands are leaning into more of a hardcore sound?
I don't know. I don't think it's introducing people to heavier. Like when I was like Scott said, when we were coming up, you found out about bands like Korn, and Korn's heavy as shit, but Korn isn't Hatebreed. And like, you know, and I feel like
but if it wasn't for Korn in 96, when I fucking first found out about Hatebreed in 98 and fell in love with hardcore, that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Korn. You know what I mean?
Well, the point I'm trying to make is I think that genre of metalcore is just being added to people's listening. I don't think people are going into that side. I think it's just being added to their playlist with the shit they already like. It's just another band that fits in with their. And I'm not using Nickelback derogatory. I'm just saying because they're like the biggest butt rock band, Puddle of Mud stuff. I think Sleep Token gets added to that guy's playlist. What has Nickelback on it? I don't think he hears Sleep Token and then suddenly he's listening to fucking Veil of Maya and moving on. I don't think that's happening.
But why?
Well, hang on. Let me stop you for a second there, because you have if you're a 35-year-old guy, yeah, I agree with you. I agree that if you're 34, okay, yeah. But if you're a fucking 14-year-old kid who doesn't know anything about music and you hear that for the first time, that can absolutely be your jump off point into getting to something like
maybe,
because frankly, I don't listen to any of that shit anymore. 25 years ago, I would have.
Yeah, but Scott, you want to know why I agree with you there? It's because of media. It's not because of people. Like, you don't have to. When I was learning about music and getting into stuff, I would have to look at suggested things on the side of YouTube, but I would also have to like search specific genres. Now, things like Spotify or Apple Music or whatever else, just word vomit different genres all over the place, and then they could make you 6 different playlists with like. Half of them are all going to be the same songs, but then they're going to throw a few in there that you're not sure of, that you don't know.
Yeah, they do.
And a lot of it is media, so it's like. Yeah, you don't have to like search for it now or look for a CD or be like, oh, this album cover looks cool. What is this? What am I looking at? Blah, blah, blah. The media is throwing it at you.
How many times did you buy an album because the cover was cool and you went home and listened to it? It was fucking garbage.
No.
Yeah, I've done that. I
never did that.
I did that.
When I bought something, it was very much I went there to buy that. That was the thing. And then when I was actually buying CDs and stuff, it was at Red Rocket Records. And every recommendation was good.
You didn't go to a garage sale and like just look at. They were like, these are 50 cents each, and you're like, fuck it, I'll throw it in my book of fucking CDs, and you just went for it.
I was very calculated with stuff, but also like when I was buying CDs, we were bootlegging them. I was going and getting what I wanted. So I didn't have an opportunity to buy a bad CD, and I'm fortunate for that. I'm not saying no one does that, but like I'm fortunate for that. Like I said, if I went to get something, I bought them at shows. I bootlegged it, so I knew what I wanted. I love the age now with Spotify recommendation. Doing the recommendations. I would love to know. I would love to know how many kids are going heavier after hearing Sleep Token. That's what I would like to know.
I'm not saying that Sleep Token's not the only example, but if you look at Bad Wolves or Veil of Maya or Anybody in that kind of same genre.
No, Vale
Look,
doesn't do that though.
well, but okay, not Veil Maya, but Born of Osiris.
No, I'm saying they got to have that butt rock choruses.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That you have to remember. That's to me. I'll state this as fact. That's a particular style of singing.
Bad Omens would have been a better example.
I'm sorry. Bad Omens is what I meant.
You know what? I actually
Wolves.
went out. No, Bad Wolves. I actually went out of my way to listen to Bad Omens this morning, and they have
Which
their
one
own
is
thing
which?
going on. I don't really think they have a butt rock thing. I think they have their own thing,
No,
and
I'm
it's hook
saying that
heavy.
they
But I'm saying what I'm
don't
talking
have
about is
butt
like,
rock.
huh?
They don't have butt rock.
That's
Bad
what I'm saying.
Omens.
So that's why I use
That's what
Bad
I was-
Wolves, because like I think
I always confuse the two of them. That's on me.
no, you're
I don't
fine.
listen to
You're
either.
fine. But I'm saying it's got to have like it's got to come into that like Puddle of Mud, Nickelback.
Well,
I'm
okay,
trying
but
to
what
think.
about like Five Finger Death Punch, right? Because
That's a
can't.
butt rock chorus. That qualifies. They all have that same kind of sound and cadence to
What
them
about
for the most part.
What about All That Remains?
He leaned into that. They weren't like
Oh
that
yeah,
before.
they absolutely do.
He leaned into
Listen,
that hard. Even Shadows Fall tried to do that, and it didn't work out. Like they're all tried. A lot of those bands tried to lean into that butt rock style of chorus.
because and you know that I have some friends that are a little more popular
like
than
Daughtry falls in the same category as Nickelback, but like
right. But
Worst name ever for a band.
So one day I was talking with an old friend that Chris and I know, and they're from around here, that they play in one of those bigger bands, and we were laughing. I said, "You guys just sold right the fuck out, huh?" And he went, "Yeah," because ultimately, if you're going to play in a band for a career, you got to do what's going to make you money,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's so. But those same guys that play that kind of music that I don't like it, you don't like it, but I still know those guys well enough to know that they're doing it for themselves to make money, but they're also going to be the same guys who are out there trying to bring kids into a new part of the fold. They meet some guy, so I get both sides.
Here's my question, Kayla, because I know you like both sides, both styles. You like all sorts of different music. Do you know what I mean when I say the butt rock choruses? Do you know the difference? Like when I talk to you about it?
So when it like on the breakdown, when it slows down into like a singing part instead of just like they're screaming the whole time. That's what I think of when you say that.
I'm talking the singing clean parts in general. Like the song I make fun of, but it's a really good song. What is it? He's like, well, you told me think about it. I did that. What's that song?
King for a Day.
That's not a butt rock chorus. You know what I mean? I don't consider that.
No, but Five Finger Death Punch is definitely butt rock.
But when you
chorus.
listen to like the hook or the chorus part on a Five Finger song, that leans into butt rock. And I've noticed that like Sleep Token does it a lot too. They'll have kind of like a heavier riff, and then they'll start singing, and it falls into that category for me.
It sounds like Creed.
It has that style that I can't. It's hard for me to explain, but
I think when you say butt rock, I think of Theory of a Dead Man. I think of I think of Nickelback. I think of Daughtry.
Creed.
I think of So that's what I think of when you say that. So I think I'm on the same page as you guys.
So think of like when their hook part comes in the song. That's what I'm talking about when I say. I notice a lot of heavier bands coming out now have hooks that sound like Daughtry could have did it.
Well, and again, my whole point is that I don't like it. It's not for me. I won't listen to that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm into. But I do think that there is a place for it, because I think, again, for the 35-year-old guy who wants to go crush 32 Budweisers and punch some kid at a giant metal fest, that guy's never going to go any deeper. But for
wait. Can I say something that might just be a little controversial, because I feel like we're getting a little serious with it? When I have Theory of a Dead Man, I have Nickelback, and I have Daughtry on my playlist, and I have thousands and thousands of songs on my phone. Chris can attest to this because I listen to a wide range of music, but I like jokey, shitty songs, and I think throwing Hollywood Undead in there is a good example, because Chris and I had a debate about this not that long ago. Like, I don't mind jokey songs because they're just feel good songs. They're like guilty pleasure songs for me. So it's like, oh, okay, this is jokey, this is fun, this is whatever, but there's still like a mix of what I would listen to on a regular basis. A lot of people don't like it though.
Well, I don't personally care for it, but that doesn't mean. But you have gone further down that rabbit hole from Daughtry, from Theory of a Dead Man, and you've gotten.
But I didn't start there. That also counts. That makes a big difference. If you start there, I don't know if you're going to end up in the genre.
Well, again, if you're a 14-year-old kid or 13-year-old kid who's hearing something that's just a little bit heavier, because like I know people that were brought up on country. I know people that were brought up on pop and R&B, right? and they first hear a heavier song from somebody like Sleep Token or Theory of a Dead Man or whomever, and they go, "Oh shit, this is wild. I kind of like this," and then they can go down that rabbit hole. But again, I think if you're mid-30s, mid-40s, and that that band comes around, you're not going any further with it.
Let me throw a little speed bump in your younger person rabbit hole theory.
Oh, not that kind of
TikTok.
speed bump.
TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. A
So I'm
lot of
saying
younger
media.
people.
I already brought up media.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But TikTok specifically, as far as music, like there's a lot of people that only get their music from TikTok and they only find
Sure.
it there,
Same
and they
to me.
curate their own playlist off of that. And they might have a playlist full of all a lot of these people they're addicted to clips of songs on TikTok. So that's another part of my theory.
I'm
of
guilty
like,
of that though. I heard somebody on TikTok. It's only like a 30-second clip or a 15-second clip, and I've looked it up just off of those lyrics to see what it was about. I mean,
Hey.
remember Sam Smith's song that came out, fucking Holy or Unholy or whatever?
Yeah.
When he posted the 15-second clip, I remember that going around for months before it
The,
actually came out.
But
It
that's
was
where a lot of younger people
insane.
get their music direction from on where to look for music. And that's where I could tell you, like, that's why part of, I think a lot of the buck stops at someone like Bad Wolves or Sleep Token when it comes to kids finding heavier music. Unless it's Knocked Loose, which is an anomaly.
That's how I found
Knocked
Loveless.
Loose is a very strange, but they're very similar to Hatebreed 25 years ago, where Knocked Loose, and I mean, not musically, but Hatebreed kind of came out of nowhere for the mainstream in 97 and 98 when Satisfaction dropped, and those guys spread like
Yeah,
wildfire.
but I honestly think Knocked Loose is bigger already, and they have a long way to go.
Yeah,
All right,
and they
guys, wait.
do.
We gotta pause. We gotta move on to the next thing because this will go on forever
See,
if we talk about how
that's
people go
why
around it.
you're the moderator.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna move into who's more hardcore. Okay, and this is not a list that I came up with, so I hope you're fighting. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Hey,
Okay, so
listen, I already can tell that I'm going to be driving to Chris's house in about 38 seconds here.
I'm gonna hear
Okay,
a car pull up
okay.
and a door slam.
ready? I'm gonna start with a hot one. I'm not going in order, Christopher. I'm picking what I think is.
Oh,
right
I
now.
have an idea what she's picking. Fuck.
Okay, so Hatebreed
Yeah.
or Blood for Blood?
Blood for fucking blood. Why is that even a fucking question?
I had to know your answer.
You
the one
knew
thing
my
that hasn't
answer. You didn't
popped up.
have to know.
It's the one thing that hasn't popped up.
Blood for blood, all day, every day.
Why?
Why?
Tell people why. Tell the people. We're on a
What if-
podcast.
Okay, so-
what do you
What if
want me
someone
to
wants
say?
to argue the fact
Hatebreed.
that they're hard rock?
Who? Give me that fucking address. That's where I'm going. All right. So, Hatebreed, perennial hardcore band, right? Those guys, mid '90s all the way until today. Yeah, they've gotten a little more metal-y in their later albums, but legit hardcore dudes play with a really metal-esque sound to the hardcore that they write. Absolutely. Blood for blood. Bro, if you can listen to outlaw anthems and not want to commit felonies, you're not a fucking human being. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, you got to look at the music side of things too. That's a big one. Like obviously the lyrics and the vocalization, but I mean,
Yeah.
you could also argue that their hooks are very rockish the way that hooks are done, which is great.
they are. There's
But
certainly
they
some stuff in
also
there.
call themselves hardcore rock and roll.
They do. But in that vein, Drowning Man calls themselves rock and roll. You know, like,
I've never listened to them. Scott's favorite band, by the way. Never listened to them.
one of my favorite bands. One of my favorite. You've never listened to Drowning Man?
No, I don't think so.
They're very mathy and technical, but they're
Probably why
phenomenal.
I don't like riff
Okay,
salad.
okay.
But that's
Favorite
okay.
song from each band. Both of you favorite song from Hatebreed.
Last breath, all day, every day.
Burial for the Living.
Really, over last breath.
Band Blood for Blood.
Can it be an entire,
White Trash Anthem.
Can it be an entire album?
One
Yeah,
song.
right.
One song.
Because fucking Nothing for You.
Yeah, nothing for you. But White Trash Anthem is
The hook
fucking.
is him just saying nihilism. I've got nothing for you. Nihilism.
The beauty of White Trash Anthem is just the way that
It's
they
so
write the
aggressive.
hook. What's that?
It's so aggressive.
It is. It's just so in your face. So fuck you, fuck everyone, fuck everything about it. There's so. But picking a favorite Blood for Blood song, like Chris, I could pick a whole fucking album. Outlaw Anthems is one of the greatest albums ever written in the hardcore genre.
That's true. Even their last one before things went south, My Serenity, there was
Yeah.
fantastic, and they did a
Christopher, I'm
cover.
sending a message to the notes, but don't answer it. That's gonna be the last question for today.
Buddha, though, I mean,
It's gonna
fuck
be a
that
surprise
guy.
for you. Okay, so Next one, Madball or Biohazard?
Madball all fucking day.
Is
Who's
it
more hardcore?
consistency or
As
because
Biohazard
Madball's a
is-
very specific kind of hardcore.
right, and there's very specific albums that set Madball apart, but those 3 or 4 fucking albums are the greatest New York hardcore albums of all fucking time. And I'm talking, I'll put that up against Sick of It All. I'll put it against H2O's early shit. I'll put it against Biohazard. I'll put it against
25 to
Agnostic
Life,
Front.
Strength Through Unity,
Fuck.
Strength Through Unity. Regardless of the Rick to Life controversies that have gone on, Strength Through
Strength Through
Unity.
Unity is a good album, but if you look at, there's 3 albums in the 90s.
What about
that
Scarhead?
Madball wrote. Dude, Set It Off. Fucking Set It Off.
Great.
If
It's
you
great.
can listen to Set It.
I'm
What?
just throwing other things at you. I said that's a great album, but what about Scarhead?
I do love Scarhead, but no.
Shut
the
Down?
question is, what?
Shutdown.
Ah,
Shutdown's New York hardcore.
Bulldoze. I love Bulldoze.
Yeah, they're beat down technically though.
I know, but they're fucking amazing.
They're actually brutal technical death metal, so
But the question being Biohazard or Madball, which one is more hardcore? Madball every day of the week.
you know what I like? You know what really sets
Chris,
Biohazard
you're not
apart?
agreeing or disagreeing with this. I need you to agree or disagree.
I want to state a quick argument about Biohazard.
Okay.
All right.
Biohazard tells it their hardcore is almost like street rap from the day.
Yeah.
Even though-
Yeah.
and I know they worked with rappers and stuff, but like if you listen to their music, I mean, he literally has a song called 5 Blocks to the Subway, and it's about him having to walk 5 shitty blocks to get to the fucking shitty subway where he lives.
Yeah.
You know, to me, like, I would put them right on par for that one album alone
Okay. They're
with
they're.
Madball.
I'm not disparaging Biohazard by any means.
No,
either,
I don't
but-
think you are. I'm just saying, as far as being as actually hardcore, you know, from the music to the message to everything.
But see, the music, that's where I falter, because the message, 100% hardcore, but musically, they're just not as hardcore as
They did go
fucking
new metal
Madball.
after. They did go
Yeah.
new metal for an album.
Yeah. So I mean,
Chris?
who's more hardcore?
Yeah, I'd have to say Madball too.
Ah!
You are. He's like, I'm gonna argue. Just
I
to see
still
where
have to
this
say
goes."
that that's a good argument, though. Like I
It
said,
is a good argument, and I'm not disagreeing completely, but I'm just saying, as a band and as when you look at New York hardcore, Biohazard is certainly in the conversation, especially their early
I
work.
feel like they get very forgotten at times.
Oh, of course. Well, Evan went and did fucking his whole shit with the fucking what was the
on?
prison show, Oz?
Oz, yeah, one of my
Yeah,
favorite
yeah.
shows.
And then Billy's always been around. He's been doing his shit, but they stopped playing out as much. They stopped doing tours. They stopped really being the quintessential part of hardcore is that you're around all the time. You're there every year.
I think they were already on the upper end of the age range when that popped off.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, and those guys are all in their 60s now. I mean, they're not spring chickens. It's like look at Roger Merritt.
What did you just say?
Spring
they're
chickens.
not spring chickens.
I heard him.
Kayla, pick 2 bands off your list. What 2 bands you got? What do you want to hear us yell at each other about?
Yeah, we'll go to the next one.
I don't know how I would compare the two.
It doesn't even
I
have to be a
a-
who's more hardcore. It could just be fucking who would you rather listen to?
Okay. This is a weird one, and I think of my dad when I hear this. So I want to hear what you guys would say because you're, around my dad's age.
Hang on, I'm just gonna jump out my window now. I just said that. Just give me one
Funny,
second.
Just in
it's
case.
scary because she already knows a few band names that will trigger me immensely. So.
Well, no, I don't think this one will trigger you. I think that this one is going to be like they're really hard to compare the two. So, Korn and Rammstein is what came to mind.
Oh, Korn
Very
all
different
day.
bands.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
that's-
That's
absolutely.
why I
would take-
said
I would take. I'm with Chris. I would take Korn all day long. Korn's
Really?
first 3 albums.
Korn doesn't
Rammstein
put out
had-
a bad album. Even their bad albums are better than most albums. Like Korn's consistently Korn the whole time, where Rammstein is like all over the place with techno elements and
they're-
everything.
Yeah, they're more of an electronica, heavy rock band. They're not really.
Industrial. They have little
Yeah.
spurts of like highlights, like the song from the Lost Highway soundtrack, Rammstein.
Yeah,
That riff and everything is heavy as shit.
yeah, they definitely have. But that'd be like that's like putting Orgy in the mix. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they've got some heavy stuff, but they're not a. Korn has been consistently heavy, and Korn really. And I'm not a Korn fan, you know this, but Korn really did revolutionize the game in the mid '90s. Like those dudes
okay, wait,
dropped
I have a
and started-
couple then that will throw you off that aren't from the 90s at all. Then completely different.
Well, I
like,
may not know them then
new-
because I'm old.
You might. You might. So this one, I'm gonna ask this question for Chris, the other Chris that we work with, because I thought of him when I thought of these two bands. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. So Motionless in White and Bullet for My Valentine.
The only good thing about Motionless in White is where they got their name from, and Bullet.
I like Bullet for My Valentine. They're consistent. And they have evolved over time
I
to
would
be
choose
a more
Bullet.
modern sounding band. Motionless, I tried listening to because they always talked about as like this. I always got the impression. I always got the impression they were like a heavier band and they looked all crazy. And then I listened to them and I was like, what was this on the radio after freaking Daughtry?
Right, they got death metal fucking writing for their name, and you're like,
yeah, it threw me off. It's like Ghost. When I first heard Ghost, I wanted to just punch my face in.
Yeah. Oh my
okay,
god,
then
that
I'm gonna
band.
do my two for you guys. We're not gonna go too off the rails.
That's fine.
My two right now that I've been really obsessed with is Escape the Fate and Avenged Sevenfold.
Avenged all day. All day Avenged.
I've never really listened to Escape the Fate, but I have a sneaking suspicion I would go to Avenged just on City of Evil alone.
Yeah, I mean, I like both of them, but they're completely different. They're not. I wouldn't even put them in the same genre.
What's Escape the Fate like? Who are they like?
Well, they've had two different singers.
They have had two different singers. I like their older music. So I can't remember the album, but it's literally zoomed in on some girl's lips. I remember what it looks like, and my favorite song on there is Guillotine, but I can't remember the name of the album. It's literally just zoomed in on some girl's lips.
Do I get to pick the bands?
Yeah, pick two. I have more, but pick two.
Oh, that's tough. Because the one I'm gonna pick, me and Chris are gonna fucking battle about. We already know that one.
I want to hear it.
It's probably already on my list.
It is. Well, you know what? I'll save my two for the end. I'll save my two. Go ahead.
So, Stick to Your Guns or Throwdown?
Throwdown. Every fucking minute of every fucking day, it's Throwdown.
Why?
Not even a fucking what?
Why are you basing this off 2 albums or all the way up until now? How about when they were singing like Godsmack? Even though I like that album, they went full on Godsmack singing after sounding like Pantera for like 2 albums.
So here's my deal with Throwdown. I'm basing it off of the first 2 albums because they are filthy.
I knew it.
But what did Stick to Your Guns write that was anywhere near as good as
the
first
whole
2 albums?
Disobedient album, front to back? When Scott Vogel comes in,
it's a good
for the
album.
end of that song, I literally have to like pin myself down with restraints.
But if you listen to the first Throwdown album, the first full-length album that starts with fucking Unite, the second Unite starts.
That's like their second one.
Oh, that's their first full-length album, though.
Beyond Repair was a full.
Was it a full? I thought it was an EP.
I'm pretty sure Beyond Repair had like 8, 9, 10 songs on it, something like that.
I'll fact check it. What's it called?
Beyond Repair.
Throwdown. Look up the Throwdown Wikipedia and bring it up. Let's talk about
maybe it is a full length. I thought it was an EP.
My question is, did you stick with them through the Pantera and the Godsmack?
No, I did not.
I
did.
That
was again.
I did.
But I recognized it for what it was. It was a money grab, right? That's exactly what that was. That was them trying to make them. It was.
I would say maybe some of it, but I think they were progressing in that direction.
Bury Your Dead did the exact same thing. They're East Coast and West Coast.
But Bury Your Dead started as a money grab.
No, Bury Your Dead started as a joke.
That's what I'm saying. They were like, oh, I bet we could kill it doing this. And they did.
So Bury Your Dead on the East Coast and Throwdown on the West Coast were very similar types of bands, right? Yeah, Throwdown started as a joke band too, if you don't know. Kayla is presenting. I can't. No, so Throwdown started as a joke band with a couple of the guys from 18 Visions and a couple other bands.
Bleeding Through. But I thought it was Bleeding Through.
No, the guy, Bleeding Through, 18 Visions, and there was one or two other guys. And the whole joke was there were 4 skinny little white dudes who had never been in a fight starting a band named Throwdown.
What year was this?
Let's go back up.
Early years.
Hang on, stop right there.
So Haymaker was still a hardcore album, I would say.
It is. It says that it is right here. In 2003, Throwdown recorded and released Haymaker, featuring the Peter penned straight edge anthem Forever on Trust Kill Records. Yeah,
that was still a hardcore album. So the first 3 albums were really hardcore albums. And then they started to change.
I honestly liked it. I listened to, what is it, Venom and Tears was one of them? Am I right?
Yeah, I couldn't. It wasn't for me. But
I liked it.
Right?
I still like Deathless. I listened to Deathless like last week, actually.
Vendetta, really? Venom and Tears, Deathless. Intolerance and
He
take
has some
and take
monster
cover.
hooks on that are actually really good.
I'll check it out a second time. I mean, again, it's just not my style, right? It's not what I'm into for the most part.
They stayed consistent with keeping it simple.
But that's it. There's something to be said for that. That's why I loved him in the first place, dude. If you
But
listen
stick
to
to your
Unite,
guns. Starting with Diamond, because before Diamond, the singing was trash. I'm not gonna lie.
It was.
No disrespect, but the singing was trash before Diamond. But Diamond took
I
them
didn't really
to
listen to it.
Diamond took them to a fucking another level, dude. Monster hooks that did not sound butt rock with heavy riffs, breakdowns, and then Disobedient came out, and I was like, holy shit, these guys are serious.
So what's your answer?
I'm going with Stick to Your Guns. I love both bands, but I think Stick to Your Guns found a sound, and fucking they have been very consistent. Like with everything since Diamond has been like very consistent and heavy, and the guest vocals have always been fucking on par. You know,
I saw them 2 years ago or last year, and like I just like watching them live. They put on a good live show. I have nothing to say about their live show that's negative. It wasn't for me, right? And that's personal
Yeah.
preference. It's not me saying that they're trash or anything like that. And if Throwdown came out tomorrow and they came across on a tour, and the tour was everything after 2004, I probably wouldn't go see it. Like, that's personal preference.
Okay, next one. 100 Demons or Death Threat?
Fuck you. Fuck you. We're not friends after this. You can go fuck yourself. It's 100 Demons every time, though. Go fuck yourself.
Getting you straight face. Christofer?
Death Threat.
Yeah. All right.
How consistent? What? Name a bad Death Threat. Name a bad Death Threat album.
Name a bad 100 Demons album. They're 2 albums. They're both fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, but one's 100 times better.
One is 100 times better. Are you going to sit here and tell me that Now Here Fast is as good as Peace and fucking Security?
I think it's a good progression. Now Here Fast has the best call out out of all of has the best call out I've ever heard. There's 2 call outs in hardcore that I've heard that always give me goosebumps. One is a Madball song where he says, "To all you rock stars who try to act hard." That whole little ending to that is hard as fuck. And then Death Threat and Now Here Fast, what does he say?
I don't even remember off the top of my head.
I'm a grown ass man. I'm not some punk ass kid, so get the fuck out of my face. And that shit is harder than 99% of anything I've ever heard. And it's just Aaron from Death Threat saying that sentence gives me chills every time, because I'm like, I so fucking relate. You relate to that too.
I'm
basically a
child.
I'm a child penis on adult body. But
that was our fucking secret, you cocksucker.
That's how I know.
But listen, okay, but hear me out, okay? Because you have Eyes of the Lord, which is arguably the best modern hardcore album. Right. It's the best modern hardcore album. I'm not, I would put it up against, what's that?
Metalcore.
Did you say metalcore again?
It's the best modern. There's solos. Is there a guitar solo on that album?
I will burn your house.
How many guitar solos are on that album?
I'm saying that on camera. I want that on record.
How many guitar solos are on In the Eyes of the Lord? At least.
There's 2. There's 2 major ones.
How many triple picking parts?
It doesn't matter. Have you ever been to a 100 Demons show and seen a bunch of long-haired metal kids? No.
Actually, the one I went to, their singer had long hair and he looked metal as fuck, but it was cool.
Well, what, Bruce?
I think it was Bruce. And he looked cool as fuck, dude. He had I think he had cut off shirt. He was in New York somewhere.
So Bruce has the greatest vocals I've ever heard in a hardcore band ever. Like, you listen to Bruce and you can hear the fucking anguish pouring out of his soul on that fucking album. Do you think I sin in the eyes of the Lord? Fuck you. Fuck you that's not. Fuck you.
I think he has very unique vocal style.
Fantastic.
That no one else could pull off unless you sing for Neglect. And that guy could probably pull it off, because not a lot of people can have that kind of voice with not a lot of range, but still make it fucking work. Just out of pure feeling, because you feel it.
And even with Pete singing, and I love Pete's voice, and Pete's a fantastic singer. When all those guys were together in Higher Force, and I don't know if you know the history, but Higher Force was all the guys from 100 Demons, except for Bruce. It was Pete Morrissey singing, and then they kind of disband and they pick up Bruce, and that's where 100 Demons comes from. And then when Bruce has all of his mental health struggles and his substance abuse struggles and leaves. They brought Pete back into the whole fold, and that's when they did the second album. And that second album, it's not my favorite album in the world, but it's still a fantastic fucking album. I went to the video shoot for what the fuck is the song they did a video off of for that? The one where Pete's singing, does his clean vocals. It doesn't matter. I can't think of. I'm bad with names of songs. But that whole album is still a fantastic album, and it's if I put those two albums against Peace and Security and Last Days, that's a struggle. If I put it against Peace and Security and God and Government, that's pretty much on par.
Okay, so if you have two bands that you would compare to your Take the Fuck Out of You and Chris, what would those two be?
Hang on, I have one
Who's more
question,
hardcore?
Kayla, for you. Real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You sound like I won't ask it. What were you asking again?
No, I want to know.
Kellen Quinn or Chris Daughtry?
I feel like you don't even need to ask me that question.
She's got the.
He's asking me because Kellen Quinn was in
Explain.
Sleeping with Sirens, and then he also does Pierce the Veil, and he's featured with MGK and like a bunch of other people that they've hopped onto. Kellen Quinn was my high school crush. I was obsessed with this man. And then one of my buddies went to a Sleeping with Sirens concert, had VIP passes, went back there, and apparently he was a dickhead. So kind of like changed it for me.